Alright, it is Renegade Operative. Once again, I'm coming at you live, and I'm going to talk about a subject that I probably should have talked about like maybe a week prior. I know this is old news and this is old information, but yet again, I'm gonna give my opinion and make things more distinct, unique, and hopefully entertaining in the process. Now, we know it is trouble in paradise in the bed of Bloober Team and Konami. Someone ain't fucking right, therefore now we have this whole crisis. I don't know if Konami isn't hitting it right or whatever with Bloober or vice versa, that and the third, but we have an epiphany between these two companies, between publisher and developer. And the epiphany comes from the CEO, Polter Babino. I don't know how to pronounce like these weird, extravagant, like foreign names, so please forgive me. I know someone got on my case for that. Well, fuck you. Never mind, I'm just playing with you. But still, like, really know that. Really know that. Really vibe with that. Mr. Polter here, Poltergeist, said that he really didn't feel and vibe with the latest trailer that was put out by Konami. Now, Bloober Team, the CEO of Bloober Team, is saying this, and I know about a couple of more weeks ago, before this information, there was the promotion of Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear is another project that Bloober Team was working on, that they were trying to get out and talk about the music and experience of what made that game. And I know for a fact, I'm not sure which Layers of Fear it was, but I know it was a Layers of Fear game. There was an endless barrage of posts talking and signifying like the behavior of the Silent Hill community after not getting Silent Hill 2 Remake news for a year. They approached Bloober Team and they were like, where the fuck is Silent Hill 2 Remake? Where's the gameplay? Where's the updates? Where's the trailer? It's been like a whole year since that last Silent Hill transmission, and I know the fan base is like kind of rabid, right? But they deserve to have that update and information told to them. And the first thing that was said was, hey, we don't handle any of the promotion material for Silent Hill 2 Remake. If you want that, go hound Konami, don't hound us. So it sounds like a method of annoyance, but also a method of truth, because if Konami is handling all the marketing, promotion rights, and material, release dates, and all that shit, they should stay in tune with the fan base after a year's time. You announced this big boom of Silent Hill projects, and yet you have nothing to show for it after a year. Only you have like Silent Hill Ascension, and that turned out to be complete dog water, a pile of trash, a pile of doo-doo rolling in the street. After the complete gong show of Silent Hill Ascension, fans are going to be disgruntled, upset, and they're going to want something to show for that experience. Where is Silent Hill 2 Remake? You announced it. This was the big comeback for the series. Where is it? Fast forward to the present day, where we finally get that combat trailer, and now the director of Bloober Team says that the combat trailer didn't reflect the spirit of the game. Now, first and foremost, if Konami is in charge of chopping things up, and I rationalized this in my analysis and assessments and breakdowns of the Silent Hill 2 combat trailer, I said that it looked choppy. I said that it looked like old footage. I said that there were things that were clearly off, stiff animations, and there were sound effects that were clearly not as strong as I thought it would be. Fast forward to even more shit, where the developer said, a sound designer upon Silent Hill 2 Remake, I think it was a guy criticizing them, saying that they need polishing on the gunshots. They sound bad. There was a lack of impact with the animations and hitting people. There was also issues with the QTEs, because people hate modernized QTEs in horror games, even though they kind of accepted it with RE4 Remake and other horror games in general, so they don't complain about it too much, only when it gets out of hand like RE6. But I digress. Character animation is a little robotic, which I agree with, and James looks like he has a back that is sticking up and signifying that he has the posture of a washboard. I said this before too, and people were also coming in the comments and saying that the Silent Hill 2 combat should look stiff, should look like an everyman is trying to fight these monsters and get out alive and not be like a trained military guy or a cop. I understand that philosophy 100%, but it needed to look smoother, and I hope it felt smooth, and I hope it feels smooth when you get your hands on the controller. I think it's no problem with that at all. It should definitely feel like a modernized horror game that still feels right, even with animations that like are scrappy and it looks like the guy is like clambering a little bit and he's not really like fully trained. I get that. But the sound designer himself, he basically says stuff like this happens when you cut the frequencies of the sound design to put in music at the forefront. This is not on us, don't worry, gunshots in the game are pretty powerful, showing that the sound in the actual sound trailer for not sound trailer, but the combat trailer was manipulated by Konami to put in the music, and music was a strong focus. Of course, they were playing the music from Akira in the background. And I do believe that, again, if they are in charge of publishing rights and editing trailers, the gunshots are going to sound weak by result. And now we have like one problem cleared up. But there's still a multitude of things that were said in this interview, and the most damning thing about it is that this interview was deleted. This entire transcript between Bloober Team showing their dismay about Konami, it was deleted and scrubbed from the internet, but the internet never forgets. So this is all on our Silent Hill Reddit if you want to look up this information. I'm going to be sure to link a post of someone copying and pasting this and everything they heard from the transcript on Reddit. But after that, they say, you know, they're not responsible for the marketing. That's true. They're going to be responsible for the main game when that comes out. Of course, it's on Bloober Team for creating the game. That much is true. It's going to be Judgment Day when that game finally releases and people will be able to judge it for better or worse. Konami is once again responsible for marketing. Once again, they're deflecting that. They're not taking that responsibility. They know that Konami is working on all these trailers, Silent Hill transmissions, and presentations, and of course they need to keep that up to speed with the fandom. I always said, first and foremost, that Konami putting out Ascension first was a bad idea. I believe maybe the blow would have been softened with all this like information and updates and news if they just put out Silent Hill the short message first. At least it was kind of decent versus the steaming dumpster fire that was Silent Hill Ascension. Then he goes on to say that the trailer lacked the essence of the original game and the upcoming remake, therefore once again further criticizing the trailer, saying that it wasn't up to his standards and what he would have done personally to show and highlight what the game is all about. Naturally being said, I'm not really against the idea of them showing combat in Silent Hill 2 Remake. It was a disingenuous talking point of people saying that, well, the story is at the forefront, the psychological horror is at the forefront, that's what Silent Hill 2 is known for, as if there isn't combat encounters that you encounter in the game where it's like, oh, you gotta fight Pyramid Head. Well, if I don't kill him, he's gonna kill me. It's kill or be killed, right? That triangular head motherfucker is gonna kill me if I don't do something and let him approach the stairwell where he can one shot hit me out of nowhere. And it's just like, you know, there is combat in the game. There are boss fights where Eddie, for example, you have to go after Eddie and fight Eddie in order to progress and get further in the game. Same goes for the little rack things, the rectangular rack things that James is locked in a room with, because the little child Laura just want to yeet her out of a window. She locks you in that room and you have to fight these two enemies on the ceiling in order to get out with your shotgun. You can't tell me that there isn't some type of, you know, passing behavior on combat for Silent Hill 2. And you know, the first trailer that they showed for E3 or whatever, I think it's E3 2001, I believe, they showed a trailer of Silent Hill 2 and it focused on not only combat but story, showing that you can integrate these things at the same time and make some sort of presentation. And it's something that happened in the past. Why not now, showing elements of the game, the puzzles, and what you would come to expect in flashes of the game? we always asked for gameplay for Silent Hill 2 Remake. In that year's time that we waited, we wanted to see how the gameplay would look, so we would have some sort of stance before deciding further. And I do believe it needs work, but I also am of the sound mind that if Konami is in charge of all this marketing and we sort of tumbled and told over the idea that they probably put out some old footage, and they put out like this 6-second clip after the fact, and I said this looks a little bit more refined and better than what they showed in the actual combat trailer, meaning that they might be inherently self-sabotaging themselves and shooting themselves in the foot and putting out old footage and new footage just to get people hyped and maybe have a mixed reaction out there. That's what I speculated at first, and that's like really fucking weird, but I'm also not surprised if Konami is doing that and shooting themselves in the foot, because I mean with Silent Hill they shot themselves in the foot for years. Why not do it one more time and making sure the full foot comes off? Because I mean, these are the guys that also quarreled and had fights with Kojima as well behind the scenes. Publisher versus developer. Konami is very familiar with that, like I said. Going down the list now, Bloober says they're trying to passionately remake Silent Hill to be akin to the original experience. They are making changes, like you see the handkerchief over the faces, you see things that seem to lack subtlety in places, I'm not gonna lie, and then you also see some new events. Parts of it I'm okay with. I don't mind the Mary handkerchief showing that she's like kind of sick in the first trailer, and you see like a symbolism of that in the little hotel room when Pyramid Head is like making his way and getting all grubby hands on the mannequins. I didn't mind the bloody handkerchief showing that this is a signifier of Mary being sick. At the same time, I do think it is gonna be a little bit different. It is gonna be something that I don't know how much they're gonna modernize the story, but they personally said they're not gonna be touching the plot way too much, which is Bloober's word, not mine. But moving on to the next thing here. They're utilizing the Unreal Engine 5 to maximize and achieve the best standards and visuals for Silent Hill 2 Remake. And it looks good. I mean, I heard people ostracizing the fact that the fog looks a little bit more alive and they didn't put too much in there. But we really only saw brief hints and glimpses of the fog and how it moved in the alleyway. And it looked almost sentient. And I remember liking that in the trailer when I first saw it, because the fog does need to feel alive, moving around, moving in certain intervals, and I think I just want that moment where if you're running in the street, it like blankets everywhere and it feels ominous and it feels like that original feeling suffocating you almost. That's what I need in the fog for Silent Hill. If you can't nail that, then I don't know what to tell you. And we already had a project that didn't nail it with the HD collection, because that was also a steaming pile. But let's move on to the next thing. Players will change their opinion once they actually experience the final product. Like I said, I haven't played a Bloober Team game. I have no idea how they handle subjects like mental health or how they do gameplay. I know this is the first time they focused on combat-oriented horror, which is something new for them, and you figure a team doing something new for the first time, it's not going to be really refined around the edges probably. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. It remains to be seen what my final opinion will be on the combat in the actual game until the actual game is here in my hands for me to play and witness. But I will say it is interesting. The stuff they're trying to do is interesting. It does look kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. It does need a little bit of work in my opinion. I feel like the gunplay in that trailer just definitely looked like a rough draft. But if it is a rough draft, and if Konami are also self-sabotaging themselves and not showing proper builds, and if that build was like all the way back, all the way ancient to a May 2023 build. I don't know what they're doing with this marketing here. It doesn't really make much sense for them to show something that old and not up to date and not have that relevant for your first like gameplay presentation in history for this remake. Like, you're gonna want to make sure you fire on all cylinders. That's why I compared like the Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta thing. That's why I said, you know, this fucking trailer looked phenomenal when they first like presented it and showed it, and then the gameplay presentation following right after that for an Xbox conference, Metal Gear Solid Delta looked fucking phenomenal. So why can't they do this for Silent Hill? Why are they putting out a trailer that looks a little bit sketchy at best when they're supposed to achieve their best? That's why I can kind of see a little bit of why like Bloober is pissed off, but ultimately the final design and draft of this remake is going to 100% be all on them. So, you know, maybe players will change after playing the full game. I will reserve my mind and expectations and be optimistic when the game comes out. And then of course we heard before, Bloober has like multiple projects planned. We heard that before, where they have like multiple games in the works, and supposedly, allegedly, Silent Hill 2 Remake is in the final stages of polish and development and bugs and QA testing, which I personally believe. I do think this game, despite the blurb, the disappointment of people saying that they saw the blurb of, oh, it's still in development, no release date, I would prefer them not to rush it, because it gives us a window to address all the issues and give the feedback in the trailers that we had so far. If people think it's personally fine, then, you know, and then there's other people that will think that, oh, well, this doesn't look that great, here's what they could fix, this, that, and the third, here's my constructive feedback. I already said, like, some of the animations could look better, some of the sound designs, which one of my personal like critiques and criticisms, it got fixed over time. It said, you know, it's gonna sound better in game, and that was just all for the trailer. The music was overpowering it. It's all for show. I personally hope that the bullet registering when you hit an enemy in the face, when you blow their head off or whatever, I hope the animations look a little bit more polished up, because to me it looked a little flat, you know what I mean? The impact wasn't really phenomenal compared to most like third-person shooters and horror games where people are like getting blown in half, and you really feel the gunshots and you feel getting hit. And I hope it's just that heavy weight of life and death between you and the enemies. So hopefully that really resonates, and hopefully they you know, put in a little bit more recoil in some of those guns. Other than that, I don't have too many big deals. I think that they could solve the controls and the general gameplay woes and accessibility when that game comes out, like they said. Is it a situation where you see a publisher and developer bickering, and is it a bad sign that you see Bloober Team actively deleting stuff, like they can't really discuss or talk about it? Yeah, because it seems like Konami is keeping things, like they're keeping things hush hush, and that is not good. I think that the feedback given to them and what they could fix is the only way they could progress forward with making this the best game they possibly can. So if even Bloober can't speak about it, then, you know, how else are we gonna have Silent Hill thrive if Konami is not actively listening? I think now more than ever, and I'm talking about like not destructive feedback, like where people say, oh fuck Konami, all that other stuff. I'm talking about like actual improvements. If they want to bring this franchise back into the mold, what they're going to have to do is, again, you made the Silent Hill studio, so things should, like, after this Bloober thing or whatever, you know, and you should respect your partners and everything and see like, okay, I see the problem, let's have these conversations, as opposed to us sitting on our thumbs and being in the dark, and then when something happens, you know, we don't communicate. So I think they need more open communication. If they are serious about bringing Silent Hill to the forefront, there needs to be some sort of quality standard between developers. I'm not saying like all these developers that they're adding into projects are all garbage, but the thing is that, you know, you have some real good talent out there. Like, you could reach out to Remedy, you could reach out to other studios, and they could probably make a Silent Hill game for you, no problem. But I feel like what they like to do, and you can still work with Hexadrive, that's fine. I think they need to reach out more to the right people if you're still going to outsource, because their problem in the past is outsourcing to no-name developers like Valtra Games, and at the time I didn't know who Double Helix was. When they outsourced to Silent Hill, you're going to want to get a studio that is really passionate, like go into those avenues, maybe reach out to Ballistic Moon and they could do like a Until Dawn style like Silent Hill. That'd be cool if you're going to do all this variety and try to make a great story, and try to make an ultimately great game with other people and partners. You know, it's use that Sony like promotion to do something with it, like that Sony like partnership, right? Fucking get some PlayStation Studios people to do some fucking awesome Silent Hill titles. I think that'd be fine. Honestly, I just hope that Konami learns to market better, and I hope that this game, despite me being very cautiously optimistic about Silent Hill 2 Remake, I hope it turns out to be like a really great game that blows away expectations. I mean, nobody really wants a game they're looking forward to be disappointing, and that's how I feel about Silent Hill 2 Remake. It could hit all the marks when it comes out. I mean, a lot of people were feeling skeptical about Dead Space Remake, and it turned out to hit the ball out of the park. So I'm hoping the same level of success here. It's just, you gotta be clear, you can't be using old footage. There needs to be conversation between developer and publisher, and there needs to be transparency. Otherwise you end up sitting in the dark, and then you wind up with a situation where nobody knows anything and people just get fired or let go for no reason, and partnerships dissolve, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be left in the dark. Nobody wants a situation where once again it's reminiscent of the Kojima thing, where you guys like kind of fired him and you had like a crowning VIP that a lot of people enjoyed, and you guys just sort of let him go. You don't want that situation again. You don't ever want that to happen, and you could wind up in a situation where that could happen if you don't apply all the right bells and whistles. Remember, it's a lot riding on this, because this is so far the second revival of Silent Hill after such a long time. And if they don't get this one right after pouring in a lot more money, it's just not going to look good, and more hope is going to be lost this time around. People already were steaming hot pissed and gave up hope when it was the end of Team Silent. So you guys kind of got to rebuild from the ground up again. I know this is hard, but still, if you don't, it's just a recipe for a disaster, and the only thing you're going to wind up with is more valid Silent Hill fans sort of doubting the future of the series. And what we want most of all is for Silent Hill to thrive. Like, look at fucking Resident Evil. We're envious of that. We're jealous of that. Resident Evil just keeps going on, and it keeps pumping out like great remakes, great games, and Silent Hill fans are sitting here like, well, what the fuck? Why can't we have that? Why can't we embark on this? All you guys got to do is like move a couple of cogs here or there, and you might be able to embody that. You might be able to get that same quality control, but Konami just keeps fucking it up. So once again, right, there is logistics behind it, and there is like some invalid, irrational opinions as well about Silent Hill and how it will progress. I don't agree that Silent Hill should stay dead. I'm not one of those people. Fuck that, right? I don't think that it should stay dead, but I also think that you shouldn't stifle creativity if you want your brand to survive. This is Renegade Operative. I'm signing out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this discussion on the beef between Bloober and Konami, and it seems like some friction there and things are getting deleted. Hopefully it doesn't get too heated. Comment below, let me know, tell me what you guys think of this video, and I will see you guys next time. Later.